Twin Flames, Star Children, Book 1. Start with Chapter 1, Diamond Child. Sweat slid down our faces from the scorching sun. We found ourselves a place to hide behind the huge cargo container, and we slowly caught our breaths. Sitting hunched over, trying to slow my heart rate down, gave me a second to process what was happening. This honeymoon had turned into a shit show. "Are you okay?" Mike asked me. Luckily, neither one of us had gotten shot. I inspected my blue tank top, patting myself up and down, looking for holes. "Yep, no bullet holes," I chuckled. "Amber, now's not the time to joke," my husband snapped. "You're right," I replied. "Now what?" I gazed around the shipyard, wondering why I'd had deja vu moment earlier when I'd seen the vehicles from the convenience store. Then, bam, it hit me like a brick wall. A dream I had always dreaded. It was here. It was happening. The reoccurring nightmare of men chasing us was no longer a nightmare. It was our life. Mike's eyes were glowing, a bright blue, glistening like ice crystals. I felt the warmth in mine, causing them to glow flames of fire. He was in my thoughts as I allowed him in. "How does this dream end?" Mike asked in his mind. Unfortunately, my dream never finished once the men got within 10 feet. At that point, I usually woke up in my bed, soaked in a pool of sweaty sheets, and my heart beating out of my chest. "I have no idea," I replied through our thoughts. Vertical wrinkles appeared between his eyebrows as they lifted. Mike wasn't very good at hiding his emotions. Beads of sweat moved down from his short black hair into the thick stubble around his face. He was just as scared as I was. "What do these men want? Why are they shooting at us?" They must have figured out we had special abilities. I had a feeling we wouldn't be able to blend in as normal people forever. Normal people couldn't move objects with their minds or read people's thoughts or have predictive dreams. We were just a science project for any government. The sounds of the boots hitting the hard concrete grew louder. We had to make a decision soon or they were going to kill us. My heart raced, but I needed to keep it together and assess what was coming our way. I cautiously leaned toward the edge of the brown container wall, squinting from the bright hot sun. I wished I hadn't forgotten my sunglasses. The heavily armed soldiers, fully locked and loaded, were rushing towards us. Roughly 13 feet away were 8 or 9 men closing in. I could faintly make out the lettering in the top right corner of the jacket. DAPA. The uniforms were not military or police enforcement I was familiar with. They must have been some kind of secret operative group working with the government. Nothing about them looked friendly. The aggressive force of the soldiers with the rifles in their hands indicated their highly advanced training. These men were on a mission with no intentions of showing mercy. The soldiers were approaching fast. Now I could hear the sounds of the guns cocking, which spiked my fear. We were outnumbered and unarmed. We could not use our telekinetic power. We could use our telekinetic powers, but they would exhaust fast. I assumed the men wanted us dead until a disembodied voice came from the older man's mind in the group. "We need Amber alive," he thought, full of rage. "Hope the new guy doesn't screw this up. I worked my ass off for the director position." This explained why I hadn't been shot. But why only me? Does that mean they would kill my husband? Over a year ago, my late grandmother had visited through a dream to explain our destiny as star children from God. I was an indigo, and he was a crystal, both carrying unique special abilities, but the only person I discussed this dream with was Mike. The man continued his angry thoughts. "This unborn diamond child is important to the captain, and we need her unharmed. Jake better stick to the plan." An unborn diamond child? I recalled my grandmother mentioning the child, but I wasn't blessed with the opportunity to carry a child. My fertility doctor had given me the sad news a few years ago during my previous marriage. He made it clear that I would never be able to have biological children. This had to be a mistake, a big misunderstanding. I wanted to go up to the older soldier and explain they had the wrong couple. Then Mike and I could go back to drinking twisted tea on the warm sandy beach, finish out our romantic honeymoon, and by next week we could be back home in our 9 to 5 jobs. But that wouldn't happen. These soldiers were pursuing this with a purpose. No chance for me to explain the situation. The men's determination showed us they wouldn't stop until they got what they wanted. We're going to fight back, Mike commanded. How? I questioned tremulously. Your gun is in the van. Mike focused on my eyes. He took one of my blonde strands of hair that had fallen out of my ponytail and tucked it behind my ear. He continued speaking through our minds. We trained for this, Amber, he said confidently. Most couples usually exercise at a local gym or went for a morning jog together. To avoid the risk of being exposed while practicing, Mike had set up a gym in our basement, a place to practice using our powers without our nosy neighbors seeing. We'd also trained in martial arts since he was a first-degree black belt. He had been teaching me everything he knew for the last 2 years we'd been together. He grabbed my hands and spoke out loud, his voice guttural. I know you're scared, but we'll get through this together. Forever love, right? Our relationship had been a push-pull for 8 years, filled with challenges and bad previous karmic relationships that we were not letting some evil group tear us apart. Mike and I were bonded as soulmates for life since we discovered our ability to merge powers. My love for this man was unbreakable. I took a big breath of warm air and exhaled. Forever love, I replied. We stared intensely into one another's eyes. The glowing became stronger. I could feel the fiery energy flowing through me, combining with his cold energy. Every nerve in my body that had been burning was now freezing. The vibration of our energy tingled from my feet up to my fingertips. As our powers united, they grew stronger and I felt invincible. Then my eyes felt cold and the fear disappeared, turned to fearlessness. He asked me, "Are you ready?" I nodded yes. Mike said two more words. It's time.